Welcome everyone, Major Frenchie. Today, I have the privilege to interview probably one of the busiest VPX table coder out there. A person whose work really doesn't go unnoticed. Let me introduce you, Arngrim. Welcome. How many tables have you coded, Arngrim?
How many tables? Considering I have about 800 tables on my cap, and I keep only one version of each table. And it's like some of the most popular tables that I've been working on, maybe three, four, five versions. So it's surely more than 2,000 tables that I've worked on. But that doesn't mean that I've changed the script of each table. I worked a lot in the config tool, and in the beginning, so the force feedback was really simple. I enhanced a lot of the force feedback for all the tables. So every time there is a new table, a new version of the table, then I extend the force feedback.
So I guess you've won the title of DOF Coder in Chief.
Yeah, but the fact is, I was there before Dove came out, so I was already doing force feedback for tables before Dove. So I met a Swiss lizard thanks to VP Universe, and he was working on a new system to have force feedback, a better force feedback than before, because before Dove we had another process that was called the LED controller VBS. Dove is so popular and so everybody use it. So like in the config tool, we still have the feedback for both systems. So you can go to my account and change from the old system to the new system. I still have all the force feedback for the other system, the LED controller VBS. So I was introduced to Swiss Lizard, and we together we worked on Dove. So he created the software, and I was like there for because I knew force feedback before, and I knew what we needed, and I was like I'd be the functional expert to help him to deliver the Dove software.
What's your background? Were you a programmer?
Yes, so I've studied IT programming back in 2007-8. I did a lot of support for IT applications, and slowly I became a developer. So start from 2013, I became a full-time developer, and now I'm working a lot with SAP systems.
Actually, you work with Swiss Lizard. I guess he's out of the picture right now, so you're the only person kind of working on the coding at this point?
Swiss Lizard was the only guy that worked on the Dove software, and now MGR is supporting it. So about Dove coding, I mean in the config tool. So I'm mostly busy with all the SS tables, table with worms. I'm trying a little bit to work with EM tables like old tables from the 70s, 60s, 80s, but I don't have much time to. There are so many, and it's really difficult to follow. And there are guys like Terry Red and DDH69 that are working with Doflinks.
How did you get involved in virtual pinball? Were you ever like a pinball fan?
I played I played in the 80s, 90s, but not that much, in fact, because the access to the pinballs, I know, they had pinballs in the cafes, in some game rooms, but I was not such a big fanatic. Just at some point, I wanted to have one, but I was always saying, yeah, if I buy one, and maybe after 3 weeks, 1 month, I will be bored, and then what do I do? So shall I change it? And it's like 100 kilos about for one pinball. And one day I checked on the internet. I saw people that were building cabinets with PC and screens, and I fell in love directly. So I say, ooh, that's a wonderful idea, and I wanted to build one. I was thinking for about 2 years to build one, and I started to know about VP. It was VP9 at that time. There was already cabinets and force feedback. It was quite limited, but it was there. So I investigated about VP, and when I was feeling comfortable about VP and VPM, then I said, okay, now I want to design my cap. So it took me about 3 months to build my cap. So you see it behind. So that was my first wood build. So now I moved to another building, and just for transporting it, it was a nightmare. So I don't want to move anymore.
Been there, done that. We see your cab in the back there. What are you using for setup? Like I see you've got beacons. You've got it's in the middle. It's a fan you've got there.
Yes, but in fact, I was the one that investigated about what kind of fan we could use or to our cap, and I found there's some investigation. I find this Atwood 4000 that is really awesome. First I used a fan ventilator for PC, so it was not quick enough and it was not powerful enough. So in config tool you can set the intensity of the toys, and I think I use the Atwood 4000 at 30% of capacity. So and with that capacity, it's already powerful enough. So I made a YouTube video. It was some years ago, where the fan is pushing air, and it closed my door. So that was crazy. So
That's what we call powerful.
yeah. A board for DMX strobe. If you see if you see on my roof there, it's a strobe. It's that is connected to the cap with a controller, with a Ethernet controller. So in fact, I had strobes that were sending flash in front of my eyes, but I really didn't like it. So it was not good for the eye. So with Swiss Lizard, we found a way to use DMX accessories like we have in discotheque. We couldn't use whatever we want. So a DMX controller can handle from 1 to 512 sockets, and you can use in config tool toys from discotheque that can have so many lights and so many it's RGB lights. So you can do whatever we want, like you are in discotheque. So all details.
So what's the theme of your cab? What's the logo on the side? I cannot quite see it.
I will show you because I made it myself and I'm really proud of it. I made it myself. In fact, I took pictures from the internet. So if you see better, so this is the logo of my cabinet. It's called Castelpin. So I built it with. In fact, it's based from the theme of Castlevania, the game. So these are pictures of the Castlevania games. I really like the effect.
Yeah, it's quite nice. It's always nice too when it's your own work that goes on your cab. It just makes you feel a little more special, right?
Yeah, exactly. If you look at ROM control table, you don't need to code anything in the script. Normally, if you just have the B2S activated in the script and you have it in your machine, and you have the DOF plugin, then the ROM vpin main can communicate with DOF directly. There are three types of feedback, in fact. So you have the solenoids, you have the switches, and you have the lamps. So what is a solenoid? It's really the force feedback of the pinball. It's not like if the ball touches something in the playfield that triggers solenoid feedback. So in fact, if the ball touches something in the playfield, that communicates with the ROM, and the ROM can indicate that it can trigger a feedback. So all the switches are triggered in the playfield itself. If the ball touches a target, the target is a switch. And the lamp, so if you don't play, for example, so you see you have an attract mode in the playfield, then you see all the lamps that are lit during the attract mode and in the play mode. So what I really use for doing force feedback for a table, it's solenoid and switches, because the lamps they always get on at some point, and even in attract mode. I really like that when you don't play that there is especially no force feedback. Maybe except the RGB undercap, but on the other hand, I like that the force feedback is silent. If you go away for 2 hours without playing and VP is still running and you have DOF running, and I don't know, maybe you have a problem of a heat.
Yep.
Of certain, it's very dangerous,
It
and
is.
so it can be. So I really take care that there's no feedback while you don't play.
Do you have like a kill switch, or do you just disable DOF when you want to do this?
But I think most of the guys that work from like 5 or 6 years ago with VP and DOF, even without DOF, we have some scripts that can kill all the let with activity. So it's called the let clear.vbs. So I have that on my desktop. See, it can happen, and it happens that sometimes when you go out of a table, then the force feedback is still present. Then you hit the VBS file in the desktop, and then it's fine. But this is really in fact, when you quit a table, then you should stop all the DOF activities. This is an urgency script.
Oh, I see. Okay, that's cool. So if you really, really want to stop it, like right now, it kills at the DOF.
Exactly, yes.
Okay, that's good to know.
Everybody should have that on his short.
We're gonna have the link in the description of the video so people can download and install it. So thank you for sharing this.
No problem. And I don't know if it works for all the controllers, but at least for the Ledwis and the KL25Z, which is a clone of a Ledwis, that works.
Yeah.
You can see behind me it's a table that we are working on. It's a GoldenEye. So it should be released soon, and I'm working with the DOF for right now. So
very nice, very nice. So I guess you get all these scoops when you're working on the table, right? They are not technically released yet, and then you get the chance. That's a perk of the job, right?
But it's better that if I can get involved before the release, so we don't have a 1.1 release or 1.01 just after. So I'm chatting with a lot of the developers, the builders before the tables are released. So it's easier like that.
So how long does it take you to code a ROM table?
But the fact is, if we consider tables are already worked on, so if there is a new table that is available on VPX, I have to normally make some adjustments to the existing force feedback config. But if I had to take a new one, It could take me maybe 2, 3 hours.
That's good. Now let me ask you the same question. Let's say if you need to code an original VPX table, how long does that take you?
There are two types of originals, so we can check like the tables from the 16, the 70s, the real tables, the electromechanics. Then, because I'm working a lot with Lorzman and all these guys that like all these old tables, and might take me 2 hours. This is for the EM tables. Huh?
Okay.
If you
Okay.
talk about originals, it takes more time because there are mods that are starting multi-boards, and we need to check into deeper into the scripts to see what were the actions and adjust. So maybe add strobe effects, beacon, and lights, special lights. So the one that took me most of the time it was America's Most Haunted.
Yes, that's a beautiful table.
So that table took me 3 weeks
Wow.
because there are 50,000 lines of code. The beauty of this one is it's more than a real original because the script was taken like a real one. So I don't remember who did it, but the author, in fact, he converted all the code into VP script code. And we have the exact same code than the real table. So
Nice.
I added a lot of effects, especially for that one. But now, if I have to take a new one, I will just continue with my routine and because it takes a lot of time.
Now, a question I get that occasionally on my channel. What would be your suggestions for someone that's new that would like to get involved?
If we talk about a real table with a ROM, then you need to check the manual. So this is the starting point. This is where the builders is looking for creating the VP table. So if you look at the manual, so there are the schematics of the solenoid, the switch actually to DOF a table in the config tool. So if I look, for example, at the solenoid flasher, the solenoid page of Monster Bash that I have in front of me, so there are so there is a table with all the numbers and the description of all the items, and below, so you see the exact location of all the solenoids into the playfield location. And for example, if you see, if you look from the bottom, so you have a number 01. This is the auto plunger, or this is digital plunger in Monster Bash. So the 01 is what we use in the config tool is the S1. S means there are four solenoids. W is the switch in config tool. So all the solenoid, all the S, they are taken from this schema. You see, for example, the 09. So this is the S9 in the config tool. That's what we use for when the ball is pushed into the throttle lane. And I can show you some others like the S10 and the S11. These are the slings, the slingshots, and you have the bumpers is like this is the solenoid 12, 14, and 13. So this is really the basic when they started to work on the force feedback like almost 10 years ago. So we only had like the flippers, the slingshots, and the bumpers. And from time to time, we have extended to have the targets, the rollovers, and yeah, now the config are really big compared to what we had 10 years ago. But I was not the one that created the DOF config tool. It was Digor from VP Universe. So before the config tool, we had another tool almost similar, where we could keep all the config of the tables, and we could have an account, and we could change the public configs. But we didn't have the possibility to have private configs, and at some point, I don't remember exactly, but we couldn't create a new account, or we couldn't modify the configs. So, and then the config tool came to the picture, and I was really interested. And in fact, when I finished my CAP, I wanted to thank all the people that was already involved in the hobby. So I that was my way to get involved in the community and to provide something to thank people. And it was I think it was in 2014 when in fact Digor I didn't really want to get involved into the community, and he asked me if I wanted to take the config tool. In fact, we wanted a developer that could continue the development of the config tool, because I was only a user and I had a lot of requests, and I say, sorry, I don't have much time. So, and then we were wondering who could maintain the tool, and I asked myself, I say, okay, I have a lot of requests. That's how I was involved to I continue the config tool to maintain it and to extend it. So
Thank you very much, Arngrim, for sharing your knowledge. Also, sharing all your time with us, because we know it takes a lot of time to do what you do, and that was one of the reasons I wanted to do the interview. I wanted to know more about who Arngrim is, because we see you like everywhere in the forums, and then it's always nice to put a face to the name and see what they're about. And thank you for sharing that with us. If people want to actually reach you, Arngrim, or they want to talk to you somewhere, where do you hang out these days?
nowhere. I don't know. I'm everywhere and nowhere. So I receive messages from all the different forums. I don't really go to Facebook, even not to Discord. So if you have specific questions, just ask in the forums, maybe in vPinball. So that's maybe the next gen. Thank you, Ender.
Well, thank you very much, Arngrim, and then we'll see you in the next project.
Okay, my pleasure. See you.